Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Steven Inks, and in today's episode we are going to be looking at a pen that's not like the pens we've normally been looking at on this channel because we focus mostly on fountain pens. That is what I like. I've shared this before in this channel, but before I was into fountain pens, I really liked using fine liners for all of my pen and ink style artwork. Particularly like the Pigma Microns. One of the things that led me to enjoy fountain pens or to seek out fountain pens was the very temporary nature of Pigma Micron pens. They dry out quick, the tips get messed up, and then you have to throw the whole pen away, creating a lot of waste. So the company that created the pen we're going to look at today, Tom's Studio, has a really strong commitment to sustainable production of products, and they have this really cool pen called the Lumos that we're going to look at today. We're going to take it apart, we're going to play with it, we're going to see what its features are. How does it compare to fountain pen art? Is it something you might be interested in for your own art journey? Of course, with this pen and all other pens, this is going to be a completely unbiased review. I paid for this pen with my own money. I was not compensated for review in any way. This is what I really think of this pen. So let's get into it right now. Right, so here's the pen. The packaging, I opened it a little bit. It wasn't the most tender packaging. It looks like masking tape on a box. It was wrapped several times around, but I got here safe. I wanted to open it partially so that I didn't have to struggle on air, but this is what the packaging looks like. Ooh, there's a cup of tea in here. Popcorn tea. Interesting. It says, a tasty blend of English breakfast tea with notes of toasted brown rice for a playful Japanese twist. Okay, so there isn't real popcorn in this tea, but I'm curious about this tea. Looks interesting. I noticed other people that received this package got a different tea. So, and this says Tom's Studio in the corner, so they must package this tea themselves. That's very interesting. I find that very interesting. Okay. And it does say, there's a little note. And they recommend drinking the tea. All right, now on to opening this package. Pretty little sticker right here. I'm excited to see what this looks like. And I guess I can struggle with a piece of tissue paper. Ho, here's the pen. And this is the original thing that I ordered. These two I bought extra. This is a set of tips, and the pen itself does come with a set of tips, but I thought it would be nice to have a backup set of tips. So just gonna look at what we've got here. You can see we've got, can you see? There we go. We've got a 0.5 wide, a 0.3 wide. I'm gonna guess that's what W means. BU, I haven't the slightest idea. C probably stands for chisel. BR, I'm going to say brush. It feels like it could be a little bit soft, like one of those felt tip brushes like they have on the Copic markers. And then a 1.0, a 0.8, 0.5, 0.3, 0.2, and 0.1. The 1.0, I have the Euchris Eros pen, which I kind of liked, but I had some issues with. One of the issues being that the 1.0 nib, it goes down to 0.8. That's the smallest size nib. But over here, we've got all the way down to 0.1. So that gets me excited. And I'm going to put this one in storage because the actual nibs I'm going to use are going to be the ones that came with the pen. But it's nice to have a few extras. And then in here we have, they call them ink reservoirs. So they're just basically the sort of spongy material that you place into the ink in order to fill your pen up. And they look exactly like the kind of thing that would be in a marker. The little plastic tube, and inside is some sort of a porous cloth type material. Looks like cotton. Couldn't guarantee that it is or isn't cotton. But there we go. And then that's the entire package. Nicely packaged. It's pretty. And the cardboard bits as packaging kind of make it look sustainable. So hopefully it is. But let's have a look at this. All right. I can feel some weight here. We've got on the box, interestingly enough, not focusing. There we go. The Lumos Pro Duo, that's what I ordered. There are 3 milliliters of black ink and 11 interchangeable tip types. We looked at those a little bit ago. Nice box. This also has that sort of particle-y feel, which makes me think this might be recycled cardboard. There's a good ethos of sustainability with kind of the advertisements I've seen, so I'm hoping that is true too. It says, here's the pen in the bag, and it says lift out carefully for tips and ink. Okay, here we go. Ooh. All right, so, okay, so inside this little cardboard thing, I think that's the ink that we've got. Nice little bottle, glass bottle. This is Tom's Studio. And we've got black ink here. Nice that they included that. Of course, if you're a fountain pen enthusiast, you've got your own black ink. You got your own red ink and yellow ink and gray ink and brown ink and whatever. So looking at the included set of tips, it is the exact same as what I just showed you. So that's good. It's everything there. Okay. Holding this in my hand, it feels special. The only way I can describe this is that if someone were to break into my house and get into my pen collection, I had 3 pens that they would know to steal, I think, and now I think I have 4. This feels really good. It feels like maybe aircraft aluminum, and this is the rose gold color. It comes in a bunch of other colors. I was tempted by black. I have too many black pens, so it is what it is. This is the cap. Ooh, I got a nice, let me see if I can get a good focus on that. I got a nice rubber O-ring. There we go. So the capping and uncapping feels really good. And in here is the piece that I would put the nib tip that I'm looking for in. And then opening this up, same thing. We got another O-ring, and it's a thick one. This is thicker than the O-rings that you get with like some of the Jinhao pens that have been coming with O-rings, and I like that because you feel it. It's significant. It's not gonna untwist in the bag. And same tip. There's no nib in these pens right now, so we'll have to put one in, and that's where that comes from. And then if I flip this over, now we have the beauty of this pen is the dual tip, and I still have a cap, so if I don't want to have one flapping in the breeze, I can put it on this end, or I can put it on this end. So I think they really put a lot of thought into this design. The tolerances are really nice. This is very smooth right here. You could just barely feel it. So that's really cool. It's very nicely balanced. If you like these thin types of pens, I think you'll love it. Like if you're a big fan of the Muji pen, or in some ways the Hong Dion Black Forest, but this is definitely nicer than that. I mean, it better be. It's more expensive. But let's get into the internal details. Now, this little silicone grip thing is supposed to, if you're not a fountain pen person, you may not like getting your hands super inky. I am a fountain pen person, so I constantly get my hands inky and I don't think about it, not even a little bit. But here we go. Taking off the metal piece right here. Interesting. I think that you need to, yeah, okay. Aha. So this also helps loosening the apparatus. It's not really the section, but it's the apparatus that they put the nib into. And it comes with this reservoir. Too much competition going on in my background. Let me just move some things. So it comes with this reservoir right here attached, but you could pull it out, and obviously that means that you could replace it. I have those extra tips there. I have a feeling I won't need to replace a lot. One thing I am curious about, and I'll try to test this if I have enough time to do so, is if I have to wash this out, will the ink remain behind? Will I have a lot of residual discoloration if I change colors? Worth noting, so we are going to start with black ink, and we might as well give Tom's Studio a run for its money right here. But let's get some nib tips in here. I really want to test everything, but if I'm going to guess at what I'm probably going to use a lot of, I bet I'll use this 0.3 and maybe the 1.0, but I'm feeling called to, how do you get this out? I'm feeling called to the brush tip. Because even though I may not find that to be to my liking, it's the one that I'm the most curious about. So using a fine line here and a brush for big sweeps and big ink washes, I think that'll be really fun. Okay. Nozzle here. Slide. Push all the way in. Okay, that didn't feel difficult. And there it is, brush tip. Slide it back in. Once again, no resistance. It fits in there really nicely like it's supposed to. Nice and snug there. And sliding over here. This feels a little funny. Let me check again. Let's try it this way. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Okay, so I obscured the camera from that the whole time, but there's the brush tip. I'm kind of curious. Is it? Oh, looks like there's a metal piece in there. I'm gonna pull that out. Let's see what's inside this one. I'm curious if this one's slightly bigger. Oh, there's a little metal shaving that came out. As long as the pen's fine, I'm fine. But that was there. Okay, that piece is out here. And I'm gonna pull this out for later, for putting the piece in that I'm looking for. But I just want to check and see actually if there's one that's larger than the other, because I had that impression for a second, and I'm not sure. Because this brush tip, it's pretty tight against that. So having a look, at this one versus this one. They look the same size to me. So, okay, it seems like the brush tip is kind of large for this pen. So that's, I don't know if it's a negative yet. We'll see how it functions. That's what's really important, right? So we'll just put both these nibs in, and then we're going to fill it up with ink. And then we're going to do all the things. So this one, again, this is the 0.3, I believe. Let me check. Yeah, the 0.3. And it goes in like this. This obviously goes in super easy compared to the brush tip. And there we go. It does kind of look like the tips for the Euchers, which is different from something like a Pigma Micron pen if you're used to using those. It's a little more plasticky, a little more rigid. And I think that's to the advantage of the pen to give it more longevity, because those Pigma Micron pens, I do like the felt tip of those pens, but it wears out super quick. So if we wanted to see what it looks like all together, we're just going to slide this in right here. But I do need to take it out later so that I can fill it with ink, just so you could see what it looks like. Okay, this guy on this end. This guy on this end. We're good to go here. All right. This almost looks like a baton or something, like one of those pens. It's not really a pen, but you do little flippy twirly tricks. I don't know. I don't do any flippy twirly tricks, and I would not do that with my pens. But I'm curious. That'd be a funny conversation in the comments section. Well, how do you feel about those flippy twirly pen trick people? Are they nerds? Are they cool? If someone were to grab one of your pens and do a flippy twirly trick, how would you react? Let me know in the comments. We're gonna fill this up with ink. Okay, so for this ink fill, we're using the Tom Studio branded ink. I'm just gonna shake it. It's been on a bit of a journey. Maybe some pigment has settled at the bottom. It's according to their website and everything about this pen, it absolutely does take any fountain pen friendly inks, and so I'll be looking forward to putting some of my other inks in it, and I'm going to test how the colors do against this black. So you do this on camera. We've got the pen itself, and here's the tip. And they're just unscrewing it. Okay, so that's kind of a point against it, honestly. I don't like that. I just dropped it on the floor. I don't like that I have to unscrew it and then unscrew it again. Excellent video content as I attempt to get my tip off of the floor. We have found it. And so I need to do this again. I don't like that this piece can't grip on this piece well enough to keep it in. I don't know what the comment is or would be on that. But now I have to go back in and re-put that right there. Okay. Ink. Let's remove the cap. One thing I am kind of excited about is with this pen, it seems like I can use some smaller bottles, or bottles where the ink is a little bit lower, where the ink level is lower, something that fountain pens do struggle with. So I could use this to use up old stuff. Whoa, look at that. Cool. All right, and I think I got enough ink in there. All right, and now we're going to take cap off this one. I wonder if using the silicone grip gives me a better more torque on this or something. Nope. Oh, yep. Yay, all right. So maybe that's the way you do it. And let's watch this magic happen one more time. Ooh, this is really tight on there. Trying to figure out how to do this on camera because the camera is kind of in an awkward spot, and basically the little thing gets stuck on there. So I'm struggling with that a little bit. Still enthusiastic about this pen. I'm hoping that the result is something really nice, and we're going to fill this one up right now. There we go. That is always fun to watch. I'll give them that. If I give it another 5 seconds or so, we might even start to see it coming in on the tip. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so it's very absorbent and it's very quick to fill, which is nice. Let's just get this right here. And then ta-da! There it is. All right, well, let's play with this. Okay, so fully invested in what we're going to do here. I'm going to go through all the tips, so I'm actually going to change them out in between and come back to the different tips that we have here. But we're going to start with the brush tip, and we're going to play around with it. Brush tip. All right, and I already see it gives you those cool brush lines. You have a lot of variance here. You can go from thin to thick, just like you would expect a brush tip to do. It performs in the same way that a felt tip type brush tip goes. So I've done videos on this website about the Kuretake brush pens or the Pentel brush pens. Those are on a different level. That's not what this is. So you're not going to be finding that in this pen. That doesn't mean that it's bad necessarily. I think it's the best version of this pen that we could get, because I don't think you would be able to put a bristle type brush into a pen like this. It might be disastrous what you end up getting. So here's what we have. And I'm being a little bit loose because we're going to be coming back in and doing lots of different things. Okay, and I realize now that I've actually made a mistake in my planning because I have these tips right here and I didn't go numerically. So I'm going to actually go in with the other pen tip and I'm going to mark out where everything's going to go. I'm going to put this, which is the 0.3 tip, in its right spot, and we're going to move from there. So once again, I'm not sure what BU means, but it's going right there. And below that, we're going to have the C, or the chisel. Don't know how to spell chisel. And then down here, 0.5 W, and then 0.3 W. Okay. And then from there, we're going to go 1.0, skip a little down, 0.8, skip a little down, 0.5, 0.3, which is the one I've got right now, 0.2, and 0.1. So it's been a little bit of work to get them all on the same page, but we're going to do this. Let me look at this 0.3 right now. Oh, that's nice. It's got a lot of flow to it. It feels good. I wouldn't even say I noticed that it's that sort of plasticky type feedback that you'd get from something like the Euchre's Eros, even though that is what this is. I think it's a little bit nicer. I think it's got good flow, and I'm assuming that that's based on what we've got holding the ink, so that little cottony feedback mechanism. I could go really detailed with this, and it's a felt tip pen, so you're not going to get line weight variation unless you push it probably beyond what it's capable of. So this is just what it is. It's black lines, and it's the 0.3. The thing that I'm loving about this is I did a review of the Euchre Eros, and I have some good feelings about that pen, but there's a couple of things that I didn't really care for, and one of them was, man, they only go down to 0.8. This is not a solution for artists, because artists like to go down way finer in details, and this one goes down to a 0.1. Already I can tell that, and if you're a fountain pen person, maybe this doesn't matter, but between this and that, this and the Euchre Eros or the other Euchre pens, this definitely wins. This is giving me feedback to my old, no pun intended, just kidding, pun always intended, feedback to my old days using Micron pens and fine liners to do all of my art. So that's fun. I like that. We're going to need to come back with the different nibs and types after I change the nibs out. All right, first criticism. I am trying to put this chisel tip into the pen the way that it seems like it should go, and it's getting stuck on the metal part, and a little bit of the tip has deformed, and it looks a little bent right there. I also, in twisting to get it out, I'm starting to get that little reservoir is getting twisted around. It almost seems like this pen was not meant to have, and you can see even down here, lots of ink on my fingers, this little part gets pushed out, and that's not cool. I'm going to show you this, even though it's going to put that same situation to happen. When I get this part right here and twist it on, the chisel tip only comes out just a little bit. Like, that's not, you can't do anything with that, right? Am I crazy? So that doesn't bode well. I'm thinking everything else is going to be just fine, but this chisel tip is too wide for the pen. See, it's getting stuck for the pen apparatus, so I'm just going to try it without the metal part, I guess. But I don't like that, and I kind of feel like this reservoir is ruined because it's gotten spun around like that, and it's actually coming out this side. This part right here, it's hard to see, but this part right here has none of this sponge part. It all poked out here because it was so stuck. So I gotta say, disappointed as far as that's going. If I can be strong in my criticism here, this tip was not meant to go, or if this hole was just a little bit wider, we wouldn't have this problem, but it is not, and that doesn't work. So just to be strong in my opinion about that. Now let's just make sure that this one goes through. This is the BU, whatever that is, and let's just see if this will go through without any hiccups. The brush tip, it's just a little tight. So, okay, I think I can work with that, but it's also weird. I feel like there should be more clearance for the tip in something like this. So unless the information on the pen somewhere says not to put these metal tips on for these bigger, thicker ones, then I'm gonna say this is a a bad thing. Let's try some of these things. So we're going to start with the BU, which is here. It's just kind of like a marker, like a Sharpie. Okay, you can get a little bit thinner on the top. Nice, but I don't know if it's something that I would spend a lot of time on. This is like, you could do some graffiti style art with this. Not really my style, but if you're looking for that, I'd say there's probably some better, more cost-effective solutions to using a tip like this. I don't think this is where this pen is supposed to shine. But it does flow easily. And I don't really have a problem with this tip. I have a problem with the one that we're about to use. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Bring it down to the chisel tip. Okay, here we go. All right, it feels weird. It's like out in the open air, but got flat like that, angled all the way to thin. So yeah, you can get a decent amount of range here, which is nice. And you can clear big spots. I'll tell you this nib does feel good. It doesn't feel good that in order to use it, I have to not use the pen the way it's intended. And so that's kind of, that's a big criticism. I'm not sure if it's a disqualifying criticism because, again, I'm not sure how much time I will spend with a nib like this. It's interesting to have one in my collection and not have to have a specific dedicated pen for that. Just playing around with some shapes here. I don't love that this hole could have been on this thing right here. This hole could have been a little bit wider and maybe we're not having this conversation. But we are having this conversation because, yeah. That's not great when your pen can't work the way that it's designed to work. But once again, and this is if you're like a comic book style artist, you work with a lot of contrast and lots of blacks. This could be very nice for just putting in all your black at once and getting a really nice graphical design. Interesting, and I don't fault it. Well, you can get even thinner lines with these corners right here. You can barely see that I'm doing anything. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like this nib. I'm still coming back to the fact that one of the pieces doesn't fit on top of it, and that's a problem. But let's go on to the other types that we have here. Okay, so now it is time for the 0.5W and the 0.3W. So getting lines, and these are going to be from now on pretty straightforward. We're not getting a lot. Now this does appear to have some line variation to it, which is interesting. So I guess if you want all your line variation in one pen tip, I mean, get a flexible fountain pen tip, but getting something like this, this reminds me of, what does it remind me of? It reminds me of those kind of flexible pens that you get. They're like markers, but they're not quite. They're like almost highlighters. You get them for free at education conventions. I don't know how else to describe it. Amazon was giving out a few of those at the last teaching conference, the Amazon Engineers program, I think. I don't know. They give you a lot of free stuff when you're a teacher, and then they don't give you money to spend on your classes. It's a weird job that I have. So there we go. That is the 0.5 W. It appears to be very similar to the other nibs, just with a little bit of flexibility in the tip. So I don't know if that's exciting for you. There it is. Here's 0.3. And it's got sort of a felt tip quality over a fine liner type quality. I feel like with this I could definitely get some variance in my line weights here. Useful. To be honest, I prefer the fine liner type over this. Yeah, this is okay. Not my best box I've drawn, but you know, that's not really the point of all this. Just trying to get an example of what everything should look like. All right. Well, that'll do. There are those. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tips left to look at. But you're kind of getting a picture of the range of this pen. It is quite a wide range. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a little bit. All right, so quick pause because I'm an idiot. This is known in these circles, but if you're new to this channel, hi, my name's Steven, and I make dumb mistakes sometimes. I was looking through some of the information here from the instructions on the pen, and I didn't show this to you before. It's very nicely made. It does say, where does it say this? Right, number 2, the second bit of instructions. The fiber tip should be pushed into the tip cover without the need to unscrew it. So, if I'm coming back to this pen, and I am going to remove the nib that I currently have in it so that I can show this off. Basically, take this out. Put in, let's go to the chisel tip, because that's where I was having the most of the problems. All right, so I'm placing this inside. Oh, excuse me, I was about to do it again. I'm putting the metal tip on first. And then the fiber tip pushed through the top here. Goes right in. All right, and despite the fact that I slightly deformed it with the thing that I did before, which was incorrect, let's just see if we can get that focused. Move this out of the way. So that's what we call in the business way better. And it should work just the same. I did test this, but let's just see if we can get. It takes a minute for the nib to get saturated again with ink, but it did work just fine. Just to move things along, these lines were all made with the fiber tip after I put the chisel back in the way that it was supposed to go. So I made a mistake. My apologies to Tom and the rest of the studio. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. Moving on, we are actually I'm gonna go on to the next part, which means taking this out. Oh, see, it's already getting inky. I'm getting ink on my fingers. And putting the nib that I had back in it in again. We're going to go on to the 1.0 and the 0.8. Let me just make sure I got the right ones in. This is the 1.0. We're going to let this ink up just to be 100% certain. Oh, it's working. So we're going to start with this one. All right. Yep. Anyway, it's always a good idea to check your sources. By the way, I was correct about the purposeful what's it called? The purposeful earth-friendly vibe of this pen and the marketing. So the cardboard is recyclable, compostable. The packing chips, which were those shredded brown paper, it's also compostable. Tape and labels can be recycled with the box, and the tissue paper is made from recycled paper. So good job, Tom Studio, on taking care of the environment and backing up what you say in your advertisements about this being a sustainability thing. So excited about that. Let's go on to this 1.0. So yep, we got definitely darker lines for the 1.0, and just like most fiber-tipped pens, you're not seeing line variation, and you won't. That's just not what these pens are about. So if you're used to fine liners, pigment microns, that's kind of what you're looking for here, what you're looking at. And I'm not noticing the sort of plasticky vibe of the pens compared to when I was using the Euchers. I don't know if that's just me getting used to that pen in general, because I still do use that pen from time to time. I have a feeling I might use this one a bit more, especially due to all the stuff that it has. You do get a little bit of dry brushing, but that's when you go super fast. And if you go a little bit more slowly, you do get a really nice flow of ink. So, yeah. Keeping in mind that, again, the only pen that I could really compare this to in a fair sense would be like the Euchers Eros. This is their smallest nib size, the 1.0. So bear that in mind too when you consider what flexibility we have here. And then from there, we're going to move on to the 0.8. I do notice, and maybe I did something wrong with this particular nib, but it does seem like, and I've had this in there for like a day, it does seem like the nib itself didn't quite get saturated. I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about, but it's slightly grayish colored. I am getting ink. I just want to open this up and see what's going on inside. Okay, let's see if I need to put some more ink in it. I have used up a lot of ink using these over here, so let me just drop this into the reservoir. This is really fun, by the way, doing it like this. Give it like 5 seconds. I'm enjoying using this. And as a filling method, it's quite satisfying, and also even though my hands are kind of inky right now because I've been messing with the nibs, it's quite not very messy too. You don't get a lot of drip. Appreciate that. And okay, yeah, so the nib just went completely black. I think that this particular one was just a little dry on ink. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, okay. The nibs are really close in size, so I got a little confused. Let's drop this back in. I love those O-rings. Those are great O-rings. Let's just see what we've got here. Okay. Is this the 1.0 or the 0.8? I'm going to have to do a little side by side. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the 0.8. It's really similar. And I think because I just filled up with ink, I'm getting a little more juiciness, a little more liquid coming in. There's a little bit of a fight in this one. I'm going to have to be really careful with the 0.5 to control the line flow, which I kind of like because that gives us smoothness, that gives us a little bit of character to our lines. Yeah, so that dry brush I was talking about before, that's completely gone. So maybe I just needed to fill the pen a little more. Seems like you could fill this and squeeze out a little bit if you want it to be less kind of juicy. Cool, that looks good. All right, we're going to do the 0.5 and the 0.2, and then we're going to end with the 0.1. All right, now we're here with the 0.5. Going to hit some hatching lines. Yeah, that looks really nice. You can definitely see the size go down, and this looks more like a fine liner. The other ones almost look like felt tip markers. You could get the same, I think it's the same or a similar effect with those. Still got lots of kind of juiciness, wetness to the nib, excuse me. And I ran out of space here for this one, so we're gonna have to squeeze it a little bit. But you could get fine details from this, no problem. You could get smoothness even on rough paper, I feel. This is working pretty well. Back to this one is the 0.2 nib, and we're gonna do some hatch marks here. Okay, now we're getting super fine. I haven't seen a line this fine on any refillable pen that I own, and this isn't even the finest line, so that's very exciting. I could see a really good combination being something like the 0.5 and the 0.2, or even if you want to be crazy, the 0.8 and the 0.2, because you could see how you could use this for fine details and this for like a big areas, or even if I were to use one of these, I think I would want the 0.8 or the 0.5 to be my finer line, and then this could be for shadows and stuff. There's some flexibility here, keeping in mind that with this particular pen, you get to choose two. So you choose the combination of two that works for you, and then you just have them with you in one single pen. Okay, cool. This, once again, it's staying juicy and the lines are staying clean. I like that. This is possibly one of my favorite nibs of the pack so far. And we're talking, this is a Japanese extra fine kind of line right here. We're talking, you know, like the Kakuno on a good day. And I can get slight variation by pushing down, but I don't want to push down too much because I really think that this nib is designed to just put down the lines that it puts down and not go super deep into the line weight territory. And I don't think that every pen should do that. I don't feel like it's fair to talk about line variety for every single kind of pen. It's more about line quality, and we're getting a good quality kind of mechanical thin line here. It really depends on what you like, and this won't be the preference for some people, but if you're used to the world of fine liner pen and ink, this might be right up your alley, especially since those Pigmamicron pens dry out super fast and then you have to throw the whole thing away. Not so much fun. Okay, we're gonna come back for the 0.1, and then we're gonna talk shop a little bit. All right, here we go. We are coming in with the 0.1. Whoa, all right. So I dare say I do not have a fountain pen that can do, let's just look at that up close, that can do lines that thin. So that is something to consider, that in fact you can go, this is actually, and this is a not a knock against the pen, this is actually a bonus. This, I think, is thinner than I want lines to be, which means that I have a full range from thicker than I want them to be to thinner than I want them to be. So if my style, personal preference, or taste changes in any way, it feels like this pen has got me covered. And you can get really sketchy and doodly with this, and it looks like it's gonna hold up. So cool. This could be a great one for if you're one of those people, and I'm not one of those people, that is able to do layers upon layers of really fine hatching to get the texture that you want and the values that you want on your sketches. This would work. Even just shifting it back and forth, we got a lot of reliable lines and no complaints here. This is one of those nibs, it's so fine, I feel like I could practice with it for a month and probably be doing more with it than I'm currently able to do, because this isn't what I'm used to. But I could get used to this. It's nice to know I have this tool in my arsenal just in case I need it. So let's just have a quick look around at what we've got. Here we go from the brush pen. Looks almost like Sunday morning cartoons, all the way down to the 0.5, 1.0, and the super, super fine 0.1. Pretty cool. Okay, so the next question, now that we've established that this pen has quite a bit going for it, is how easy is this thing to clean out? So with my fountain pens, I can clean everything completely. You could see these used tips have a bunch of ink on them. Obviously, this is not the way you're supposed to use them. I wanted to test everything. But we're going to try and make this a fair test, but also I thought it would be fun to do a time lapse. I have slightly warm water here in each of these containers. One's going to hold the little reservoirs, and one is going to hold the nibs that are soaked with ink. So I got to take this one out. As you remember what we did before, you can use the little silicone tip to avoid getting ink on your hands if you're a coward. Sorry, that was harsh. And then we're going to take the nib out. That's going to go in the container over here. And then we're going to put these reservoirs in that container right there. Let's just get... What I'm going to do is just remove them. And just to be 100%, let's not be wasteful. in keeping with the tradition of Tom's studio, let's just take this and we're gonna squeeze out as much ink as we can here. Got a few drops. Okay, and then yep, very inky fingers. And then I do have a cloth I've been using to clean. The next step will be to take the other one. Once again, pull the nib out. This section here, removed. And this comes out. Let's save and conserve. This one got a little bit damaged by my mistake earlier, so we might be changing this one out. I did purchase an extra set of these, probably because I knew I would mess something up, and I did. But let's practice cleaning with this one. Okay, yep, got ink all over my fingers. So again, not necessarily the recommended use for this, but I want to put some colored ink in these right here so that we can test, is this something that could be used the way that I use my fountain pen? So could it be changed? Could the colors be changed? That's basically what I want to know. So let's find out. Okay, so it's been half an hour. We do have some missing. Some pigment has moved out, as you can see. I'm just gonna practice just squeezing some of this out, see if we can get a little bit more. I am gonna leave this to finish off its work. Very inky fingers. And just having a look down here at these guys. Yeah, they seem to be coming along. I'm just going to let this whole thing soak for a little bit longer. I'm actually late for work, so gotta go, and we'll catch up and see. It's going good so far. Okay, so we've gone to new levels of strange here. So I noticed that, and this is primarily my fault from the way that I put this chisel tip into the pen. I had actually squished the, should look like this, obviously, the wick for the ink, and it got in a weird way and just got loose when I was trying to untwist it, and so I pulled it out, and it's this mass of cotton, sort of string-like in its consistency, and it was pushed in and kinked in a lot of ways, so I had done that, I think, with the tips, and I think honestly that the tips themselves are quite thick, and that creates some interesting issues going in. So what I'm going to attempt to do is see if I can get this tightened up to the point that I can fit it back in the wick, and if not, because this is pretty intense. It was just halfway poking out, so I decided to not do, to just try and see what I could do with it. But if it doesn't work out, I do have, I did order some backup wicks here, and so I'm going to use a new one. That'll get the black ink because I still want to test and see what it's like to put something like this with a different color. And this is the original one that had the black ink in it. I did run it under the sink for a little bit because that pushed out the ink. I'm not gonna film the part where I attempt to put the little fluff of cotton back in because I don't know if it's going to work, and if it doesn't work, I'll let you know, and I'm gonna just use a new one. But just putting this pen through its paces. I'm trying all the things, even the stuff that I'm sure nobody but me would be dumb enough to attempt. So here we go. Okay, so quick update. That definitely did not work. This is what it looks like now. I can't push anything in without shoving it out the other side. So good thing I have these backup pieces. This is going onto the pen. This is going to use black ink, the side that's going in here. And I'm going to fill the other one, the one that I cleaned out, which looks like this, to jog your memory. A little bit of black particles on here, but we're going to actually put it in the nib that got the least clean, which is this one right here, the brush tip, along with something of more of a medium ilk. I'm going to say the 0.3 nib maybe with black ink, and this one with a colored ink, and we're going to see how this pen does with colors, basically, after it's had black in it. So how clean is this right now? We'll find out. Okay, so with the new tip engaged, I have 2 inks that are going into this pen, and we're going to draw with those inks. First of all, to give it the ultimate test, we've got this brush nib, which is cleaned out as much as it would clean, and this is the old reservoir, so this has been cleaned out too, and it's getting Pioneer Container, which is a purple ink, because I think a colored ink would be useful just for testing purposes, and it's purple, and I think that purple shadows are kind of cool, so it's going to be purple shadows on black lines, and the black is this is with the new reservoir. This is the 0.5 nib, because I think if you're going to do brushed inks, you want to kind of complement that with a bit of a wider nib. So I went with the 0.5 over the 0.3, which I thought was pretty cool as well. It's going to be highly dependent on you. There we go. What you think fits best if you're going with this pen. So this is getting the brush. Super fun to watch. Let's see. There we go. All right, and I think I just want to, just for safety's sake, give us a little bit of a drop out of that. Cool. And then this is getting put into the pen. So here we are. Hasn't started getting the ink up yet. We'll let that soak up a bit, and then we're going to go back in with the Tom Studio Black, just because that was the color we were using before. We might as well use this little tiny bottle up. And interestingly enough, we did, I don't know if you can see the level. Well, we used about a quarter of the bottle up just by filling it once with the 2 reservoirs. So just so we're aware, there's quite a lot of ink that goes into these reservoirs. Here we go. It does move super fast. Just going to get it completely full here. And then, just like before, I'd like to just squeeze a little drop out the bottom, just to keep it from getting messy in there. All right, and this is going on the other end, right here. Just move that out of the way. Right here. And with that done, I'm gonna let this soak up all the ink. As you can see, it's still white on the end there. And then we will start playing around with it. Okay, so quick story behind this drawing. I am about to turn 40, a sentence which I hate thinking about as much as I hate saying it. And for your 40th birthday, you're supposed to have like a birthday party. So I texted all of my friends that live in the city where I live, which wasn't that many people. And then I waited like 2 to 3 days for them to text me back
because everyone's busy and no one likes responding to communication attempts, I guess, which I realized is one of my own worst qualities. So I stood there wondering why my friends haven't texted me back yet. And I realized it's because they're just like me. Anyway, gonna have a fun birthday party, and that's what this drawing is about. I gotta say, using the Tom Studios pen for this was just so incredibly natural. You just start drawing and it draws and it reacts the way you think it should. I thought that the brush as shadow was a really cool idea that I had, so thank me very much. And I need to spend more time with it to get better at it, but it was fun, and I plan on using it again very soon. So just when you get worried about the state of the world, just imagine how much worse it would be if everyone was like me. It's a good thing that some people are not me. So hope you liked the video. Sorry it's so long. And thank you for sticking around to see how it goes.
For final thoughts, this was a long journey. We went through a lot of things with this pen right here, and very impressive what we see. At the same time, I do have my criticisms, and I'm just going to summarize them right now. The little wick that you put into the pen does seem like it's something that can get damaged very quickly. If you are interested in this pen, I would recommend that you pick up an extra pack like I did so that you can replace them as they become a little bit messy. I do think that if you're looking at this pen for the felt tip markers, the chisel, the brush, and the BU, which I learned after looking at the instructions, is called the bullet tip. That kind of makes sense if you're into bullet journaling. It's not the best with those tips. I think some of the best version of this pen is the 0.3 and the 0.1 style felt tips. Those are finer than anything that you can get with a fountain pen, in my opinion, from my experience. If you really miss those fine liners and you want something sustainable, I think this pen could be for you. If you're a fountain pen lover and you're not really interested in exploring other options, I'd stay away. And on top of my criticisms, I have to say that I really like this pen. You have to be clear on what works and what doesn't work, but I regret my purchase absolutely 0%, and I really hope that Tom Studios sticks around. They do actually make fountain pens too. You can check out a link to their shop in the description of this video. It's unique. If you love that fountain pen, that felt tip, world, and you kind of like to dip your toe back in but still use all your favorite inks, and all your favorite materials related to your fountain pen art, this is kind of a fun pen to have. So I hope they continue to innovate and create more products, and that they're around for a long time to come. Check them out if you are interested, and I am so excited to bring you my next video coming up soon. Please like and subscribe so you can stay updated, and let me know in the comments, what do you think of this pen? Is this something you'd be considering getting? And I will see you in the next video.